Hey ladies, this is Lisa Shaw with LisaShawCares.com, and I'm so excited to bring you Conversations of Care. And today I have a dear friend that I've known a long time, Belinda, who is going to talk with us. Belinda is a wife. She's a mom. She is a homeschooling mom. She's a businesswoman, and I'm so excited to have her here. She's also a gardener, something I don't do well. So, Linda, we're glad to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for being with us. So, Belinda, before we get into chatting about your business, I just wanted you to just take a few moments and talk to the homeschooling mom, the mom who has been homeschooling, but also the mom that is now having to homeschool because of COVID-19 and might be stressing a little bit or looking for some ways to walk through this season with their children. And I know you have young adult and teenage children. So can you talk to the community of women that will watch this video?
Well, I think one of the things we need to realize, and it's been helpful for me, is to realize that none of us are able to do totally what we normally do. We are moving in a season and trying to keep some normalcy that helps mom, but at the same time, the library is closed, so I haven't had all the books I wanted. We can't go to many places because they're either closed or there are restrictions now. We live in Texas. Just recently, they closed off state parks, so we can't just get out and about. So I think that none of us are at a point of doing what we might have always done.
Right.
That said, we're having to adjust to this, what I believe will be a temporary season of a new normalcy.
Yeah.
Because this too will pass.
Amen.
And in that time to not get flustered, but instead to focus in on what are the basics. The reading, writing, arithmetic, those are always going to be our basic staples for our kids. And as I once heard it when I was much younger in this homeschooling journey, all you really need to homeschool your kids, especially as a believer, the Bible, a math book, and right now you don't have a library card, but if you got books in the house, you're still good. So you have to find a substitute for the library card. But
right.
At any point, we need to focus in on what are the basics. Also focus in on what are the priorities and not try to do everything all day. We cannot, as the younger people say, do all the things.
Yeah.
So what's going to be that priority today? And maybe the priority is that we focus in on this child and this work. We may not be able to focus in on every child all the time, all your children. And I'm saying this as a homeschooling mom. For those who have more normal settings, it's even more critical.
Yeah.
It's even more critical to realize that you can't always focus on every child every day. So if you have kids that are more independent, that's a child that you can leave to him or herself for that period of time, and instead work on what needs to be worked on for that season, for that day, for that hour.
Yes.
And that way accomplish what you need to accomplish.
And tell the community how many children you have and their ages.
I have 3 children. At this point, we only have one homeschooler in our home. Our other 2 children are grown and flown. Yeah. So we have a 24-year-old and we have a 21-year-old who are not here, but because of their situations and the whole quarantine, they'll probably become one. Our daughter is going to come in from Minnesota this weekend and spend some time with us because it'll be better than being cold and alone.
Yeah.
We're hoping to see our son pretty soon. But we have one daughter here who is an 11th grader. She's 16. And so she is getting her work done. This is another thing. She gets her work done in about 2-3 hours at the most. And I think as someone who may not always homeschool, one of the adjustments you have to make is it doesn't take all day when they're home. They set the pace. So don't be intimidated by the fact that they feel that they finish in 2 hours or 3 hours and feel like, oh, you have to make an 8-hour day. They don't have enough to do. I'm not doing enough. Let them pace themselves. Let them get done what they need to get done. And then let their imaginations lead them into other productive things to do.
I like that. I like that. My grandchildren are home. They're 11 and 12. Well, soon to be 12 and 13. I'm going to have a teenage granddaughter. It's shocking. So they've been calling me with questions of not just, conversations of biblical proportion and, the grammar, what's going on in the world kind of question. But they're calling me for homework. And I'm like, what? What was that question? Okay. What century in the future did that math come from?
Y'all are about to fail middle school together, huh?
Lord have mercy. I'm like, hold on a minute. Let me go Google that one. So what do you think of that grandparent or parent? I mean, my grandchildren don't live far from me, but they're not in the home with me. So we're trying to do this via phone. But what do you say to that parent or grandparent that's not, I didn't come from homeschooling. I was not only not homeschooled, I wasn't cultured to homeschool. So what do you say to that grandparent or parent who's now thrown into the position of having to walk through material that almost feels foreign, for lack of a better word? It's just like, Lord help me, I got a calculator. That's it.
And have to blow the dust off it, right? I think that I think you have to realize you're not alone. There are resources out there, and inclusive of, if not the teacher, people you may know in your church, in other settings, who are good at some of the things that you aren't good at.
That's good.
There are a number of free online sites that are helpful, like a Khan Academy or a Homework Helper or I can't think of any right now. I was going to say I probably could send them to you if you wanted to get them out to your folks, but there are tons of sites that are geared to help students through problems and as well just to help parents and grandparents through methodologies of how to do things, because of course we've all forgotten. And those things that we used to know. So
2 times 2 is 4. When they start talking all of this advanced stuff, I'm like, now, as my granddaughter said yesterday, Grandma, but you're so smart. I said, yeah, I'm smart in what I know.
That's good. That's good. That's good. And don't feel bad, because our daughter is finishing up geometry and getting ready to go into algebra 2, and all those postulates and theorems, and she's going through, now what about this? I'm so thankful for that little helpful CD disc that has all the problems, and it walks. So just go look at the computer, because honestly, a lot of that has just totally slipped. I can still do algebra.
Yeah, that's good.
A whole lot of the geometry. I forget what shape is what shape. And I'm an engineer by formal background. That's scary, but but it is real.
Wow. So let's here's a minute. I want to talk about blessedheritage.com, which is your business, connected to the homeschooling community.
Yes.
And I know that you're a professional writer. You're the author and founder of what you call a blessed heritage educational resource. So I want you to talk to the community of women about what you offer through a blessed heritage. Well, through heritage.com.
Productive things. You don't know what book writer you have on your hands, what photographer you have on your hands, what writer, what those skills are that your kids don't have a chance to do when they're in school, that now they have a whole lot more time and who knew they were an artist? So, those are things to think about. What is it that they have passions to do that they just don't get an opportunity to do?
Mhm.
But having said that, a blessed heritage really uh, gave light to what we were doing, because when we began to study history, like most homeschoolers, you run and you get that curriculum and you start to realize that what most of us learned in history is actually the history of Western Europeans, and not all Western Europeans, mainly Englishmen and French. And so when you begin to want to pull in other stories of other people, they just aren't there, unless it's what I call the faithful four: Harriet Tubman, George Washington Carver,
Martin Luther King.
right, the Martin Luther King. Maybe if you are really progressive, you get Frederick Douglass or Booker T. Washington.
Mhm.
But there's so many other stories that don't exist, and it's not just us. If you think about the way that history is taught, the Native American disappears after Thanksgiving.
Mhm. Mhm.
There are virtually almost no stories of Latino Americans or Americans of any Asian descent.
Mhm.
And I really wanted our kids to learn history from a variety of lenses, because that's real world, and that is so critical to becoming a more global citizen. It's just understanding where people are coming from. So a blessed heritage was created to then offer a more multicultural lens at looking at American history. It focuses in on African American history because that's what I know,
Yeah.
but I also bring in stories of, like I said, people of Hispanic heritage, people of Asian heritage, other stories that you will not find in traditional curriculum.
Awesome.
So,
Go ahead.
and we do it through books. So I publish an actual curriculum that says, use this book, use this exercise, use these pages of this book to teach your child uh, whatever the unit is that you're learning at the time.
Mhm.
And we have elementary, a middle school product, and a high school product. So we have products for every level to just help kids understand more than the traditional narrative when it comes to American history.
That's awesome. So was there at some point something that tugged at your heart that caused you to go into this area of curriculum?
Two things. One, wanting them to understand that all history is God's story,
Mhm.
and that He is always in control.
Yes.
There are parts of the African American story that are nothing short of just difficult to tell. There is no nice way to talk about slavery.
Right.
There is no nice way to talk about Jim Crow or segregation or the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, or some of the atrocities that have happened in our history. But ultimately, what is that story? It is a story of resilience and determination and persistence and victory, and through incredible odds. And that's God,
Mhm.
and that is the nature of God. So I wanted them first to learn history from a perspective of what God was doing. And I also wanted them to learn history from a perspective of what other people might have been going through as you were going through whatever your era was in history.
That's
Those are I mean, math is math, science is science. There's no, I'm not belittling any of that, but I think history is one of the areas that has been completely mistaught in our society. And I think we are seeing the effects of that every day in terms of what is going on in our society. A lot of it is just not a basic understanding and an ability to relate to one another
Mhm.
from a different lens than our own.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of that all the way around. We
Yeah.
just struggle to connect and communicate respectfully and effectively to everyone. But it doesn't definitely exist. And so I love what you offer and how you offer it, Belinda. And for anyone who is interested in connecting with you, and certainly checking out your resources on a homeschooling level, and not just on a homeschooling level. I think history, if that's something that, is of interest to you, people can learn, adults can learn from,
Oh, absolutely.
So they can find you at heritage.com. But
Yes.
before we close out, I want you to talk to me about the gardening, because I'm not sticking my fingers in any your vegetables, all your smoothies, all your green things. So sometimes I sit and I look at your Facebook page and I just smile and I think, good for you, Belinda. Could you give me some? Could you send a sister some? Because I'm not going out in the yard. Do in the yard is either sit or I bring Peter water when he is cutting the grass.
Lisa, I see in your future a hydroponic tower. That's what we need, and so that you could do it with water, and you could do it inside. I see it. I see leafy greens coming from that little tower. I see it happening.
I work because usually I go to Whole Foods and get my veggies and. But really, what when you show pictures, your stuff looks blessed. It looks beautiful and just I've seen photos of other people's stuff and more power to them, but your food looks like God's hand was working the dirt. So what, have you always had a heart for gardening?
No. In 2011, my father-in-law came over. He wanted the kids to have a garden. And so he came over, he dug a hole deep in the backyard. And I promise you, I sat just as you were sitting now thinking, this is going to be so much work.
Yeah.
And Texas is hell in the summertime. That temperature will make you repent. And I thought, oh my gosh, we can't get out there and do this. So from about that time, over steady years, we've had fits and starts. But I guess somewhere probably about 2016, 2017, you get older, the health challenges come, the diagnoses come, and all of a sudden you start looking at it and you say, I don't want to be one of those people. And my husband the same way, don't want to be people. We're not prescription people. We don't want to be the folks that are on. Now, I'm not telling anybody not to exercise in wisdom. If the doctor said you take a prescription, you take a prescription. But for me, if I can eat kale and eat cucumbers and do those things, then I don't want to be on a prescription. So that's kind of where we started and really picked up the game. So at this point, we garden all year round.
Wow.
Have about 5 no-dig, no-till beds. That's a whole conversation in itself. But basically, it allows us not to have to get out with backs, knees, and shoulders and dig those holes. It's also called lasagna gardening. And and Lisa, here you go. Now, you still got insects, but you can just put out your layers and grow a few things. Nothing to think about. But we have 5 no-till, no-dig beds at this point. We've also got about 3 dozen containers of various sizes. And so we are not at the goal of feeding ourselves, but we are at the place where we can go out and eat every day. In fact, I just put an Instagram post out that showed something else eating my dino kale. And I said, if you eat my kale, you might as well have messed with my family.
Yeah, because you take gardening seriously.
I do. I really do.
I love it. So how can people find you on Instagram?
My name is just backwards on Instagram. Bullard Belinda. B as in boy, Ullard, D as in Daisy, Belinda, the first name, Belinda. On Facebook, I'm Belinda Bullard. I think there's 5 or something there. And then, of course, the business has its own Facebook page, which is a Blessed Heritage Educational Resources. So those are easy ways to find me. And yeah, I do a lot of the gardening pics. Instagram has an incredible gardening community. And so that's also very helpful because people around the world will write. I don't know if you have time for a real quick story.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I was growing what I thought were regular sweet potatoes, and we pulled them, and I cut into one, noticed it was white, and I'd never seen such, and I thought, oh gosh, we've done something really wrong. So then I cut the next one, it was white, and I just happened to put out in response to somebody else. I said, oh, I grew these sweet potatoes. I don't know what to do with them. They're white. And a lady from the Trinidad Tobago area wrote me, and she said what I grew was actually a boniato, a white sweet potato.
Wow.
And then when I put it out there on Facebook, all my friends from around Zimbabwe and from other islands, oh, this is how you cook it, and this is what you can do with it, and this is, and so you get that kind of help, kind of like I'm talking about with homeschooling.
Awesome. That's awesome.
So yeah, that I
Oh, I think we've frozen. Well, ladies, I just want to thank Belinda Bullard for being with us today. And you can connect with Belinda over at blessedheritage.com. God bless you.
Okay, are we back?
Oh, okay. I just did a closeout to tell everybody how to get in touch with you. I think we froze.
Okay, no problem. No problem. I've talked too much.
No, it's okay. Thank you for connecting with us today. I appreciate it so much. I enjoyed the time with you.
Me too. Thank you,
sweetie. God bless.
Okay. God bless you. Bye.
Bye-bye.